We're talking Arkansas Razorbacks right here on the Audible. Again, thank you for joining us. We're glad to have you along. As Justin promised earlier today, we've got a Razorback podcast for you. This is schedule's kind of like we start on Monday where we do a recap of both high school and of the Razorbacks, and then sometime in the middle of the week we're going to do a 2A through 4A preview, and after that a 5A through 7A preview, and then a little bit of more Razorbacks as we look ahead to the Texas A&M game coming up tomorrow, and it's a big game,
It
obviously
is.
for many reasons. We're also going to talk a little bit about the coaching search and what's going on with that, or at least I think a pretty interesting nugget that Mike Irwin put out there earlier this week on our friend Blair Cartwright's podcast there on Hogville. It was interesting. I think what was that? What's that called? The what is it? A hospitality room, I think, or something like that. Anyway,
Got me.
he put out an interesting nugget about the Razorback coaching search, and we're going to talk about that and talk about what it takes here. You know, if Bobby Petrino wants this job, this game could go a long way into helping him get this job. Now, with that being said, this is probably the tallest task of the season left for the Razorbacks. Now, a win would get the Razorbacks to 3-4, and with a real possibility, I think, of making a bowl game. If you lose this game, you're 2-5, and basically have to win out down the stretch. You've got room for one more loss, and then you can still go bowling. But man, there is a lot of big time names on the schedule left. I think some of them have underperformed. LSU, not quite as good as we thought that they were, at least
Yep.
as of now. When the Razorbacks come around, they'll probably figure it out. And then, Missouri is pretty good as well. Then you've also got Mississippi State is no pushover this year. Auburn, not real good offensively, very good defensively. Um, so there's still a tall amount of cotton out there
There is.
for the Razorbacks, and how are they going to figure out a way to get through this schedule and navigate it? Well, this game would be a big one to win for Arkansas. Give them a little bit of momentum, give them a little bit of confidence moving forward, and Justin, you were looking at statistics here. So I got caught between stats and statistics, but you were looking up some stats earlier today, and to your shock, I don't know if it's a shock or not, but whatever it is,
It's confusing.
the Razorbacks, when you look at the offensive side of the football, Arkansas looks like a really good football team.
Yeah, there isn't but maybe a one or two statistics where A&M is better than the Hogs. It's crazy. We higher like third down percentage. They're 38% on third down. The Hogs are a shocking 57.14% third down. That's amazing. We just can't win a football game.
Well, part of it is turnovers, and
Yep.
I'm going to take a look here. I know Arkansas has 8 fumbles. They've lost 6
Yep, and
on the
5
season.
interceptions.
Yeah, and 5 interceptions. So that's probably your biggest key of the season
And
right there.
and allowed 11 sacks.
Yeah, the 11 sacks number is a big number, but it's not a huge
Not a
number.
huge one.
I mean, you're talking about 2 sacks per game, actually just a little less than 2 sacks per game. The turnover issue is the big issue. I
Yep.
mean, that was what caused the loss to Tennessee was the
And to,
turnovers.
and to Memphis.
And to Memphis, and you know,
I won't say it was Notre Dame too,
no.
but we lost.
Well,
I mean,
the one turnover cost the game against Ole Miss as well.
yeah, yeah, that's
So I mean, it's fumbles. I mean, fumbles lost are definitely an issue with the Razorbacks this year, and it has really become an epidemic in some ways with this team. So you've thrown 5 interceptions and you've lost 6 fumbles, so you've got 11 turnovers in 6 games. So again, almost 2 per game. You got
yeah.
11 sacks, you got 11 turnovers. That is not a recipe for winning,
It just isn't.
especially when your defense isn't that good.
Yeah, our defense is struggling. Of course, to our credit, the Ole Miss Chambly and Ole Miss, that's a heck of a football player they got there, quarterback. Notre Dame, I'm just tossing that out of the window, say that was just a crapshoot all the way around. I don't recall anything good about that game, but
Yeah,
we've been in every other game.
Arkansas has been in every other game. it just hasn't worked out. So can you figure out a way this week to make it happen? But again, Texas A&M, I think they're a different animal than
I,
what we've seen. Now, Ole Miss, as far as ranking goes, is right up there with them. I don't know that Ole Miss is as good as Texas A&M.
no, I think not on defense side of the ball.
Oh, no doubt about it on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm a big Mike Elko fan. I think Elko's a really good coach. He did great things at Duke, and he is taking that to Texas A&M now. They've got a hard-nosed approach. It's completely different than what they had under Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher, I believe, is a lot of flash and no stash, man. I just don't think I don't think there's a lot to him. I never thought that he was great. I know he won a national championship, but Jameis Winston at that point that when in college, Jameis Winston was a transitional, what would you call him? He was very good. He was unbelievable.
Once in a
The
generational is the word you were looking
generational.
for. He really was.
Yeah,
He was a great athlete all the way around. I mean, a heck of a pitcher on the baseball mound too. So yeah. But I laughed. It's when the coaching search started. Somebody, I can't remember who it was on ESPN. Yeah, they need to look at Jimbo Fisher. No, we do
no,
not.
they don't.
No, no, thank you.
Well, we would like to encourage you right now to get your questions and comments in if you'd like anything that you would like to
Bill.
talk about. What do you say?
He said the defense is a bit too Catholic, holy.
Yeah,
That's
a
a good
little
one,
bit,
Bill.
a little
It
bit.
is. You ain't wrong, buddy. Wish you were here, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
tuning in.
we got the dog walk says doing great today, Phyllis. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, man. Obviously we're up in the situation a little bit right now with everything that we got going on. We've got the ability to do this, so we're doing it. Um,
Might as well.
with that said, let's get to it a little bit real quick. Obviously, when you talk about Texas A&M, first thing you got to do is look at the quarterback, Marcel Reed. He's a redshirt sophomore. Petrino was actually in the quarterback room with him. Now, my question would be, can he take advantage of that and understand some of the strengths and weaknesses that he might have? Obviously, the kid's going to be better than he was his redshirt year there at Texas A&M, but maybe understanding a little bit about how he plays, maybe that could play into Arkansas's game plan.
Yeah, he's at 1,490 passing yards, 12 TDs, 4 interceptions, rocking a 60%. Not sure what his rushing statistics are, if he's got any. Uh, see where he's at. Reed. Yeah, he's got 45 carries, 186
Yeah,
yards total. So
he's a
not like
some
Taylor Green at all.
right. He's a little bit of a dual threat,
Yeah,
but
nothing.
nothing like what we use
No,
Green in. And of course, the quarterback battle and the turnover battle. That's always a question about how are you going to perform, how are you going to win. If you win the turnover battle, you're going to win a lot of games. If you don't win the turnover battle, you're going to lose a lot of games. And one of the things that Arkansas has been snake bitten by is turnovers. But also think about this. And I was listening to Trey Biddy talk a little bit about this situation with Arkansas, and he said, Arkansas for some reason plays so much better on the road than they do at home. It has been since 2022 since Arkansas has had a double-digit loss at home. I'm sorry, on the road, but at home they're getting smacked.
yeah.
You're talking about lots of games where
Last year, Ole Miss.
yes,
Ugh.
well, many games where Arkansas is getting, they're losing fans at halftime because the game's over by half.
Yep.
And so, anyway, it would be nice to see a good effort at home. Weather may play a factor in this game. Weather across Arkansas does not look good for tomorrow
No.
at all. I mean, you're talking about thunderstorms and all that. Of course, being up there in northwest Arkansas, the way the front seems to be moving, it's going to be moving through there first. This is a 2:30 game, so maybe they catch the back end of that, maybe, and not have the stronger part of it. But it's going to be a wet day
Yeah.
at Reynolds Razorback Stadium. Does that play into Arkansas's advantage? It's kind of almost like a great equalizer in some ways. When it comes down to it, you're talking about playing with a wet ball and just footing and all that stuff. Arkansas's grass field, I mean they've got the best drainage and all of that good stuff. But again, it's still grass and it's still wet. So it's going to be an interesting situation there. But my question today will be, how does the Razorback offense perform against the defense of Texas A&M? How can Arkansas stay on the field, much like they did against Tennessee? That was one of the keys to Arkansas being able to be so successful with Tennessee was the fact that they could stay on the field.
Yeah, they kept the offense off the field. They had good long drives. Didn't score on every drive, but they gosh, the defense actually held something, on when we weren't scoring. We're still kicking it in our red zone scoring. I think we're still 100%, I believe. Maybe 98. I think we're
Well,
missing one.
because you got Robert Patrick Petrino calling plays.
Yes, yes, you do. Just
That's a whole part of it. You know
yeah,
what?
you're gonna score.
I will tell you, having the Petrino offense back here is somewhat akin to having 40 minutes of hell back with the basketball team.
Yeah,
It just feels like this is what you should look like. This is what you should run. And of course, now you're seeing what we've seen throughout, when Bobby Petrino was here the first time. You're seeing receivers run wide open. I mean, wide open. That just means that Petrino is so good at designing plays and taking advantage of what the defense gives him. And he's amazing. That's why you see that high number in the red zone as you do. The thing is with Taylon Green is, can he take advantage of that? There are wide open receivers. My problem with Taylon Green is I think that we've gotten a better version of what he was at Boise State. He has improved here, but 5 interceptions is not idea,
nope.
when it comes to just the success of this team. And he's like an amazing athlete, but there are things that he does in a game. I'm watching one of DJ Williams' podcasts that he did earlier this week talking about the fourth down play that they went for it. I think it was 4th and 4, and they had a play drawn up. They could have kicked the field goal. They had a play drawn up to where Tennessee was man to man on the top side, and they were in zone on the bottom side. And according to DJ, and it makes sense that your eyes should see the man to man on the one side. And how do you see that? Well, you got 2 for 2. You see those up top. And Raylan Sharp was wide open on that play. Well, he was looking on this other side. Then on this side, he was still wide open, but Talon had to pull the trigger and he just couldn't do it. And so my question is the processing. Is it there? I mean, at this point, we are where we are with him.
Yep.
He's going to be there throughout. He's going to be the guy all the way through. So you navigate through that. And again, it's an odd situation because when you look at Green, Green looks like the next coming of Matt Jones in some ways, really a better passer than Matt Jones was. But it's the mistakes that kill him.
Bill. Yeah, it is. Sorry. It is. It's his high side. His ceiling is so great, but his depths are so great. His basement is great
Right.
too. Like it's not quite feast or famine because on paper it's more feast, but it's the famine times that are the fumbles. That it's those things that are killing us. It's just the famines, and you know there's not as many of them as you would think, but they're killers.
Right.
In every aspect, drive killers. Uh, you know, what was it? Ole Miss going down, Memphis going down to score. What he? I don't. That wasn't his fumble, was it? That was
No,
that was Washington's. But
no,
Ole Miss he fumbled, right?
no, it was not Washington. That was Washington was Memphis, and then Brown
That's
was
right.
the
Okay, yeah, yeah,
fumble
yeah,
there, which Brown, I mean, he was a heck of a wide receiver for
yep,
us off the bat. Um, just got hurt, broke his leg. I mean, that was an awful
yep,
look. And of course, he's
yeah.
out for the season. And that's kind of been lost in the shuffle because that was the same week that Petrino came in and Pittman got fired. And really hadn't been a lot of even talk about that,
Mm.
even though he was probably at that point our top wide receiver. Well, I say that. You got
Omega Blake.
Omega Blake and then him after that. But Blake's having a good year as well. Again, it's a dichotomy out there because you've got a good to great offense. I think the
There's flashes
offense,
of greatness there.
there is flashes of greatness there, but it's the defense that's just it's atrocious. It's now we'll say that I felt like they acquitted themselves much better against Tennessee,
They did.
and they're going to have to figure out a way to do that again coming up against Texas A&M. And M.
With
And you're not going to be able to just get out there and line up and outscore Texas A&M. You're going to have to figure out a way, try to hold those guys under 24 points, see if you can come out with a 24-21 victory, 27-24. You want to, if they get into the 30s, you're going to have a hard time in winning that ball game.
Yeah, it's um, but I don't think their offense is, as good as ours, and because of that, I think we can score. We can. They have a good defense, but I think we're going to score on them, and that's good. I think that's the difference in the game. But you're right, 24-20, 21, something like that. Looking at that score, we
I'd love to see an inspired performance. I'd like to see a performance there that you get a performance at home that you may have gotten on the road over the last few weeks. And this is ESPN's matchup
yeah, ain't
predictor. I was
wrong.
going to get to that right there. They give Texas A&M a 70% chance of winning the ball game tomorrow. Which I mean, why?
They're,
I mean, they're the number 4 team in the
oh
country.
yeah,
Why wouldn't they give them a 70% chance of winning that ball game? So, the question will be, how do they perform? Because if you go out there and lay an egg, I mean, I think the Petrino factor is probably over.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if they come out and they get beat by 30 or 40 points or whatever, I think at that point, Duran Miller's dream of having Petrino back is gone.
I
Which, listen,
I would love to have it.
I'm all for having Petrino back. I'll tell you what, I was hurt very much on the inside. I'm going to tell you a little story about the day that Petrino got fired. I was at my grandmother's funeral the day that my Petrino got fired,
uh,
and I told my wife. I remember this distinctly. I mean, obviously this was 2012, so it's a little while back now. I looked at her and I said, "The football program is over." She said, "Oh, you're being emotional," because I mean, I had just been to my grandmother's funeral,
you weren't wrong.
and since then it's been nothing but disaster for the Razorbacks, and it's been a tough road to hoe. And here you are, 13 years later, and somehow this guy has cycled back to you. And I want to tell you, man, it's an interesting thing because I mean you've already seen it with Louisville. He went back to Louisville. What was it, 2014 to 2019,
Yeah,
something like that? I need to look at that now, but somehow he cycled his way back to Louisville and had some success there. I mean, you
won a
know,
Heisman.
yeah, he had a Heisman Trophy winner there, and had his team up there at the top at one point. But he also, his last year, he didn't even finish the year. Got fired.
Yeah,
He ended up 2-8 his last year there, and he got fired there. And he hasn't been a head coach in the Division One level since. Now he got Missouri State there. He got him. He actually had Missouri State close to making the playoffs
yep,
not too long, and then he comes back to Arkansas. He made. I just remember this now. Number one, he come back to Arkansas, and he was at the Little Rock Touchdown Club, and he apologized.
yep.
Remember that?
Yo, I remember it vividly. That's what did it for me.
And then it wasn't very long after that, maybe a couple years, that Missouri State come in and gave Arkansas all they wanted. I think
Yep.
that ended up being a 38-28 ball game.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was at the time that you felt like Pittman was still ascending in some ways. And then, what was it? Early,
The next year,
late,
Petrino
well, it
goes
was
to.
late 2023. He's back as the OC. He left Missouri State, went to Texas A&M. He's back as the OC at Arkansas late 2023, and then here you are now. It's wild. It really is.
Stranger things have happened at sea.
Yeah.
That's about all you can say. But
The,
it's nice to have him back. I was convinced at that Little Rock Touchdown Club when 'cause I watched it live just because I wanted to hear him, and you saw a man that was truly sorry for his actions and he clearly had learned from them. You ain't heard a whiff of mistake since then.
he has seemed to have probably. I mean, he was fairly humiliated
Yeah,
at that whole
yeah,
situation, right?
yeah. He had to have been. I would have been.
Right. I mean, he was pretty humiliated at that situation. So, I feel like that there's some true contrition there. I think
Hmm.
that he has probably calmed down some,
Yeah.
but you don't want him to calm down all the
No,
way. You want him to be able to get into people,
no. We
and
saw that. We saw it Saturday. You
yeah.
saw a glimpse of it. I don't know who he was yelling at, but he put that Bobby face on and whoo.
Now, let me tell you this. This was an interesting thing to me, and not everybody saw this. But if you have a Hogs Plus membership, you would see this. After the game, he talked to the team, and you know, if you lost the game under Bobby Petrino before, You didn't even want
Yeah.
to be in the locker room. Well, he was fairly encouraging in that talk. Now, I'm sure, this is the dating period with Bobby Petrino, right?
Hmm.
And when you're going to marry somebody, the dating period, you're putting your very best foot forward, right? So
Yep.
Bob, right now, he's doing that right now. Can he do that when if Arkansas ends up marrying him? And it's the interesting situation, in my opinion, with this coaching search, and we've somehow transitioned into this,
It's okay.
is that these jobs that keep coming open, right? So you've got Penn State is coming open. My thoughts, and I've heard that Florida's coming open after like this weekend. Florida's coming open. Florida
Hmm.
has a bye week. No, there is no.
Yeah.
They're coming open. They're going to fire him. It don't matter win or lose. That's what I've heard. That they're going to fire him. So Florida's now open. Penn State's now open. You got candidates that Arkansas is looking at right now, and they're looking at hard. And I'll get to what Mike Irwin said. He said there's four candidates. He didn't name them all, I don't think. But he said there are two candidates, one of them Petrino and one of them Dan Mullen. And what he said was that those two candidates would come to Arkansas without any kind of reservations. They wouldn't ask for the AD to be fired. They wouldn't ask for this. They wouldn't ask for that. They would come, and he said that that has been relayed to Arkansas. Now, Mike Irwin just doesn't say stuff.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, he's one of those old school journalists. So there is a part of him that understands and knows what's going on, or at least to the point of he has got a source that this is what this source is under the understanding of that is going on behind the scenes, right? But Penn State's open, Florida's open. There's a chance that Auburn comes open. There's a chance that LSU comes open. And so when you see these jobs come open, Arkansas's falling down the rungs
Yep.
of open jobs. So then my question becomes this: do you end up having to hire Bobby Petrino by the time it's all said and done? Because all of the better candidates are interested in the other jobs. Now, I have said this before and I'll say it again. If Bobby Petrino's the worst that you can do in this job, you should be fine. Everything
Yep.
should be good. So I'm fine with that. I'm one of those people right now that would love to see us get to look at other people. But if they end up with Petrino, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. But I want the best candidate for this job. I love Dan Mullen. I love the thought of Dan Mullen being your Razorback head coach. Right off the bat, thinking about the situation, um, that was one of the first names that come to my mind was Dan Mullen. Well, it wasn't very long after that he his name surfaced as a possibility. Of course, they asked him about it at UNLV yesterday or the day before,
Hmm.
and he kind of did it, the coach speak
Yeah.
thing. I mean, obviously,
He
what
has
can
to.
you do in that situation? But with that said, I mean, Dan Mullen, Bobby Petrino. Some people are saying that Golesh at South Florida, who South Florida is on fire right now, and then Summerall of Tulane. Those are what some speculators for. One of the things about Golesh at South Florida is his wife is from Greenwood, Arkansas,
Huh.
and apparently makes it back to Greenwood, Arkansas every month.
Huh.
Comes back to Arkansas and is a big Hog fan. So that's an interesting dynamic. Now, I would caution anybody that's a Hog fan that really was into that job because at some point you're going to get fired from that job. So then are you a Hog fan after that? It's one of those things that you really have to think about if you're there, but you walk away with many millions of dollars and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, they,
You
what was
coach
it?
it for half that, wouldn't you?
I'd probably coach it for 500 grand to be honest with you, but yeah, well, um, but the former LSU coach Ed
Coach O.
Orgeron.
Yep. Yeah. Let's get John Gruden
So
head coach, Coach O DC. Let's do
so
that
here's
because
the
he used to
thing.
coach in Arkansas. Coach O was here.
So Coach O, think about this. Orgeron, they fired him at LSU, right?
Yep.
They came in and they told him, said, Ed, we're going to let you go. Said, we're going to write you a check for $17 million. He said, we'll see you later. Y'all have a great day.
Do
You
you want me to
know,
pack my
I
desk
mean,
now, or are you
you
going to
know,
send it to me?
exactly. I mean, it's like, okay, well, there's not a lot of wrong there. What's Bill saying over there?
Gonna need to see some wrinkles that A&M doesn't see. Gonna need to see wrinkles that A&M doesn't see coming. If I could
Yeah,
read
I agree
today,
with that. I
yeah,
agree with that. I think that you've got to see something that A&M maybe not have seen on film. The thing is,
got to
though,
break out the annexation of Puerto Rico, bro.
the thing is, though, it's not about the offense as much as it is about the
Yeah,
defense.
you're
The
right.
defense has got to figure it out.
Yeah, they got to get
If
stops.
they're able to figure it out, then A&M, well, you're at home. I mean, you're not a terrible team. You've been in the game with Ole Miss. Yeah, I hate to say you've been in the game with Memphis because that's just embarrassing. But then you were in the game with Tennessee, so they've shown that they can be in the game with
They can
top
compete.
teams. It's just can they
That 3 point
actually
hump
win
that
it,
they can't break over.
right? And
It's
can they actually win it? So isn't it going to be interesting if they lose a game like 34-31 again? I mean, it would just be like, seriously, folks. I mean, can we play a different game every once in a while here?
Yeah. I mean, and I heard somebody talking what this morning. I was listening to something, saying, "Well, Texas A&M game, something crazy always happens." Well, that's Jerry World. Something crazy happens there, not necessarily here. Eli Bowman, what y'all think about Hector versus Mount Ida tonight? We talked about
Yeah,
that
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yeah,
Wednesday.
check out that version of the Audible.
Yep.
We covered 2A through 4A
Yep.
football
You can watch that on
top 10.
YouTube, Facebook, either one. Um, Also, again, we want to encourage you like, share, comment, subscribe. Again, think about becoming a member of the Arkansas Sports Network. We're looking forward to some of the things that are going on here. Bobby Petrino's second stint at Louisville: 9-4, 8-5, 9-4, 8-5, 2-8. Now, one of the things that Petrino talked about being uh, being there at Louisville the second time, the 2-8 was the year that he lost his father.
Yeah,
And he said
that
that
was
he
tough.
just didn't do well with that. Now, also, you got to look at he was in the Atlantic Coast Conference when he went back to Louisville. They finished third, tied for first and third, or tied for third in the Atlantic Coast Conference again. He made the Belk, the Music City, the Citrus Bowls, and the Tax Slayer Bowl. And then, of course, that last year, 2-8, he didn't make any bowl. And then at Missouri State, he was 5-5, 8-4, 5-6, and it does say that he actually made the first round of the NCAA tournament in the FCS in 2 of his 3 years there, and he finished. I guess he finished 13th in the poll. It's odd that he finished 13th in the poll at 5-5, but look, he was 5-1 in the conference,
Yeah.
and then he
Was
finished
that 2020?
2020,
Yeah,
and then he
Scully.
finished 14th in the poll. The next year, he finished tied for first in the conference in the Missouri Valley, and then tied for second. I'm sorry, not tied, but actually second. And then he finished eighth, which is his last year there. And here he is back at Arkansas as at 0-1, and then his record is 34-18, 17-16 in conference. So odd for me to look at that and see
It's
that
strange
he's
numbers.
right, that he's the interim coach with 52 games played and 33 games in the conference. So anyway, I'd love to ask you though, who would you like to see as the head coach of the Razorbacks? Uh, this thing is going to wind up. We're in the middle of October now. About 6 weeks from now, you're probably going to have whatever happen. Who's it going to be? Um, And
We
one of the things about Razorback coaching searches, Justin, is something usually comes out of left field in some way. And I hope that doesn't happen here this year because it's set up. It's just set up. The only thing that really worries me,
look hiring Bobby to begin with. That came out of left field.
it did, but the one thing that worries me is they're using a search firm for all of
Yeah,
this,
I don't like that.
right? And so,
Not a fan of
of
search
course, I know
firms.
you don't have to use it, but my thing is, why would you? You've got Petrino on the
Well,
sideline now.
didn't the last search firm get us Brett Bielema?
I know one time it got him John Pelfrey,
Oh,
right?
gee, well, it's better John L. Smith.
So
And we won't even mention that other name. Uh, that this disgrace that we had from SMU.
Yeah.
Look, and I'm sorry, no offense to Rhett Lashley because he's a great coach. Um, Go somewhere else first, then we'll hire you at Arkansas. I don't want another coach
I
from
really
SMU.
don't. I don't think he's even in the mix right now.
Yeah, I don't think so
I
either.
really
And
don't.
I would like for him to be because I mean he's Arkansas boy. That'd be awesome. Like I wouldn't have anything bad to say about that. He was a heck of a football player in high school when he played here, and I don't know about his college
Well, he
career.
played at Arkansas.
Yeah,
He was. I mean, he didn't play
yeah.
much, but
And
I mean, I think he did take a snap or two. So, but
no,
I don't think he's in the mix right now.
no,
I
I don't
don't
think
think
so.
he is.
I just somebody shouted. I heard people talk about it. You know, I just know, please no, another coach from SMU. That's the only thing, and nothing against Rhett
Well,
Lashley.
uh, other names that I can think of right now. Kenny Dillingham is one of those guys out of Arizona State. You know,
Yeah,
I
doing good
mean,
work
that
over there.
doing some work there for sure. I mean, I said kick the tires on Nick Saban. Just see, just see if he would do it. I mean, see if he'd consider it. I mean, he seems to be, still got that fire. I know he's 77, 78 years old. So,
Yeah, but Miss Terry's awful happy having him around,
oh,
and
I'm sure he is, or she
and
is.
look, I think he's having a blast doing college game
Actually,
day.
he's not.
Him
He's
and him,
73.
yeah, him and McAfee look to be they're having a lot of fun. Them Virginia boys,
Yeah,
and just them West Virginia boys having a good time.
yeah,
Uh, you know, look, we just need to make sure we're not in a position where we have to call Houston up back.
yeah. I don't think that's happening.
I know it's not, but just to, we have to be proactive about this.
Honestly, I heard that Houston Nutt did lobby for the job when it came open in 2019. That he tried to get it. In fact, he even said it, I believe, on 103.7 The Buzz that he was he was interested, but nobody ever called him. And I mean, at that point, could you have done any worse? At that point, I mean, it was.
I wouldn't mind the Houston up back. He was a good football coach. He ain't nobody can motivate
I
like that man.
I will tell you, I have a source, and this in this case was a really good source, and I've heard some corroboration since about this. Um, Barry Lenny Jr. was just about ready to be named head coach at
Ooh,
Arkansas, and I feel good enough to say this, and it might be out there, but he was talking to Pittman about becoming the head coach. I'm talking about Barry Lenny being the
yeah.
head coach, and that he would come on the staff. And Pittman began to work back channels after that, and I don't know if he ever committed to being the O line coach for Barry Lenny. But
Hmm.
he began to work back channels saying, hey, look, if you're going to hire this guy, why don't you just hire me? So anyway, that was an interesting dynamic. But
I wouldn't mind Barry Lunny either.
I've heard
Just,
that, well, he comes from a really good coaching family.
hmm
Barry Lenny Sr. might be the greatest high school football coach to ever coach in Arkansas. I think it's very possible that he is. But Barry Lenny Jr., from my understanding, was 24 to 48 hours from being named the head coach at Arkansas, and then all of a sudden it stopped. Um, and again, I have a conversation with somebody that would know about this, and that is one of the things that I was told. I won't tell you who it is, but that was one of the things that I was told. And so, Pittman came in here and he helped the job. I mean, right now the job is a lot more attractive than it was when he got here.
it
But
is.
but at the same time, I feel like that he was probably propped up a little bit by Traylon Burks.
Yep.
If it wasn't for Traylon Burks, I'm not sure that Pittman would have lasted as long as he did. Um, I guess you'll never know for sure. But Burks, was a transcendent. That was the word that I was trying to figure out
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah,
He was a transcendent athlete. I really think Burks was probably the the best Razorback since McFadden.
yeah.
So he was so good there his sophomore and junior years there that
Yeah.
I mean, really, his junior year, think about it. We went to Alabama and they could not guard him. I mean, he
No,
literally
he lit him
tore it
up.
up.
He lit them up that whole game.
So,
It was
we
beautiful.
we finished 8-4 that year, and really those three losses, if you go back and look at those three losses, I mean, outside of Georgia, those three losses shouldn't have happened. The
Yeah.
Auburn game was the one that really got you.
Hmm.
It was awful that year. No, that wasn't the
Oh,
one.
that was the year before.
That
That's right.
was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was yes, that was Sam's
yeah.
first year. I'm going to go back here and look at this real quick. Arkansas that year had three losses in a row in conference and finished 8-4 on the year. And we were doing a podcast at that point called The Razor Wire, and I literally called it. I said that Arkansas would finish 8-4, they would lose three in a row, and all I just basically just said that they would do it like what they did with Bobby Petrino as the head coach. When they ended up doing that, they were, I feel like the wind was probably let out of their sails a little bit. Remember, College Game Day was at Georgia for Arkansas, Georgia. I mean, it was a really like crazy atmosphere. So then they turned around. So they lost to Georgia 37-0. They turned around, lost to Ole Miss 52-51. Sam went for two there at the end to try to win the ball game. And then they turned around and the 38-23 loss to Auburn was the tough one. That was the toughest one of that group there because Auburn came into that game. Arkansas should have beat them. They ended up beating LSU at LSU, and then the loss to oh, I moved it. They beat Missouri that year too, and that was the year. That was the year of 2021. They lost to Alabama that year, 42-35.
Yeah.
And that was
Mm.
the year that Burks, yeah, see, Burks had 179 yards receiving that game. And so they couldn't stop him. And so I feel like Burks really propped up Sam. We beat Missouri that year. I mean, it's like we have to celebrate the wins against Missouri, right? Because
Yeah.
we never beat them
Jesus.
anymore. But anyway, and then of course they turned around and beat Penn State and won the bowl game, and that was basically the high under Sam Pittman. We didn't. Well, we thought we were.
Well, the real high for me was stomping a mud hole in Texas that
Well,
year. Like
yeah.
I can't lie about that. Was
Well,
the
that was
high.
the next year. Well, that was
No,
that
that was
year.
that year. Yeah,
That was that
yeah.
year, 40 to
Because we
21.
we beat all three Texas teams we played this year,
Yeah,
and
beat
dominated.
beat Texas A&M that year as well. Anyway, so that's really what we've got so far here. If we hear anything as far as the coaching search goes on or anything like that, we'll definitely let you know. We'll come out and try to kind of make heads or tails of it. But today,
We got to go
um,
get our kids. I got to
well,
go to Ozark.
well,
Or you don't got to get your kids. I
well,
do.
Well, today though, when we talk about Arkansas coaching search, I feel like you might start seeing not necessarily seeing pieces together, but you might begin to know if Petrino is going to be a serious
Yeah.
candidate here with Texas A&M here at Arkansas. If
He,
they're able to compete with them and able to come in and play well, then I think that you can still keep him in the mix. If they get blown out, I think you're probably moving on.
yeah. And gosh, I wouldn't mind having Petrino bring him back. I wanted the crystal football. I didn't want to lose the
I
first time.
I got tickets for the last game of the season. And the reason I got tickets for the last game of the season is because I think that very well could be his last game at Arkansas. Now, I'm not saying it will be. I'm just saying in the case that it is, I'm going to go and watch Arkansas play Missouri this year, and I'm going to watch them, Petrino, maybe for the last time at Arkansas because, he's given me a lot of good memories here
You
as the
dead
Razorback
right he did.
coach, and I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad to see the fact that he's able to come back and kind of complete the the course a little
Yeah,
bit. You know what I mean? Whether that be that he is the head coach for 4, 5, 6, whatever, 7 more years, or this is kind of the swan song for him, and he gets to ride off into the sunset.
or heck, how about this scenario? Get this new head coach in here, and they use their brain and say, "Hey, Bobby Petrino, would you like a job, sir?" And just leave
Well,
him right there.
I
I
don't
I know it doesn't. He might not like that, but I would.
I don't know that he would accept a job like that, but it is nice to see the Petrino offense back
Oh
one
my
more time.
gosh, it really
It
is.
really is. I'll never forget. I was there the first game. I was there the first game, 2008. They played Western Illinois, and they were down in that game. and he was able to navigate a comeback and win that one. Turned around the next week, and it was like playing the same game over again. He did the same thing against ULM. He was able to
Who's the
navigate.
quarterback then? Dick?
Casey Dick.
Casey Dick, yeah.
He was able to navigate another victory. And that year was a little bit off, but all I'm saying is that you begin to see that like the good things were coming
Mm-hmm.
even that
Hey,
early.
beat LSU that year.
And that wasn't a very good team. They lost a lot after Houston Nutt left. There was a lot of guys that were Houston Nutt guys that just didn't really accept Petrino. But boy,
DJ Williams, he talks about it.
but by the time year two rolled around, Brian Mallett at quarterback, it was just a different
Yeah,
ballgame,
yeah, you're right, man. I miss that guy.
right?
That and I hated when he graduated trying to go in the NFL, and they questioned his morals and his ethic. And I'm sitting there thinking, I mean, that's I thought it was a load of baloney then, and then a couple years later, I met him at a John Daly event, and this kid could have been Ryan. I say kid. He could have been partying and having a good time and showing his butt, but he was playing catch with a kid for an
Yeah,
hour, and that's the kind of guy that Bob Petrino had as quarterback. Yeah, he flung it, and he might have been a cocky college football player. I ain't faulting him for that at all, but he was a good man.
yeah.
Miss that guy.
Well, I actually watched the Hogs Plus event there, 1-5,
Yeah.
that they talked about that very thing, about
Hmm.
him rather being around the kids than being around the adults, just because that was just how he was, just liked it. But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Again, we're going to be back on Monday to break down what happened here with Arkansas, also what happened over the weekend with high school football. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be a great time here once again on Monday. So, again, like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell on YouTube, but also consider becoming a member with us. We got a great playoff preview that we're going to be bringing you here in about 3 weeks coming up here, where we're going to be making our picks, breaking down each bracket, and doing all the fun things that you like to hear. Breaking down each matchup. That's going to be fun. And we're going to
Hmm.
be here for a long time doing it.
Yeah, we're gonna be busy come playoff time, and I can't wait.
Anyway,
Hoping my boys Pottsville can make a run, win a couple games, but if not, then have computer will travel.
that's
We're
right.
gonna go get some done.
All right, guys. Thank you again for joining us. This will be our last podcast for the week, and we'll see you on Monday.